Previously on Video Game Hangover.
Previously on Alan Wake.
And now, the continuation.
Hello, and welcome to Video Game Hangover. This is episode 2. We had so much fun last time, we decided to do it again. Apparently podcasting is like crystal meth.
Oh, is that what that weird buzzing sensation was?
Right. It's all fun and games until all of your teeth fall out. And then you're on A&E. Anyway, I'm Randy Dickinson. I'm in Poughkeepsie, New York.
I am DJ Ross from Mountain View, California, and I am allergic to mustard? What?
Who wrote that?
Is that a real thing?
I don't know. Maybe I should get that checked out.
Awesome. What's up, y'all? I'm Paul Sandu, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. And just before we start our show, I just want to give a quick shout-out to all of our listeners that have been pimping us pretty hard on Twitter. Just want to say thank you so much for your support. We just got started, last week, whatever, and seeing all this support really means a lot to us.
Yeah, it's very cool. We had quite a few mentions on Follow Friday from our Twitter folks. That was very exciting. Good stuff. Thank you. And so in this week's episode, we're up to our eyeballs in games. We got old games, new games, upcoming games, and games that may not even exist yet, but DJ hopes. We'll talk about some of the stuff we're playing now and some of the stuff we're excited for later this year. We have some console news, too. We're going to talk about the 3DS. There's a little bit of info out there about the PSP2 as well. But first, holy crap, we've got listener feedback, which is crazy because that means we have listeners.
It's amazing. People are actually listening to us talk about games.
That's a first for me. Nobody ever wants to listen to me talk about games.
I'm stoked about that, though. It's pretty awesome.
Definitely.
So, we got some great feedback on our episode 1, in which we recapped our games of the year for 2010, and we asked our listeners on Twitter to just send in, what their games of the year were and why. So, we're just going to go down a quick little list here of some of our listeners who sent in some information for us. And let's start off with this game that I don't particularly agree with, but I actually am quite excited to see that someone found so much joy in this game. And this is a DD83. And he says that his game of the year was White Knight Chronicles, which is the first game that I have ever traded or sold to another person. So
That's a way to sell it there, yeah.
But, he says he enjoyed it for the sheer amount of time and fun that he had with the game, and I think that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I can certainly attest that he spent a lot of time with the game, because every time I turn on my PS3, he's playing it.
And I think that's amazing that, different people can get so many different experiences out of games.
Sure.
And I think, who else did we get some information here from? A M. Kernan. His game of the year was Red Dead Redemption.
I believe that's M. Kernan.
Oh, Kernan.
Kernan.
My apologies, Mr. Kernan. But he said his game of the year was Red Dead Redemption, and he felt the story and the plot was incredible enough to warrant it being game of the year, which I can see that. I had some issues with the game, but the story and the plot was incredible, don't you guys think? As far as you guys got into it.
That's one of those games I could just, I really want to get into, but like the first couple hours, you're like herding cattle and like picking wildflowers, and I'm like, what? You're supposed to be some awesome cowboy. When do I get to, shoot outlaws?
When does that happen? No, I liked Red Dead. I didn't finish Red Dead, so it didn't make it onto my list. I really tried to sort of stick with games that I played all the way through. But what I did in Red Dead, I enjoyed. Someday I'll go back and finish it.
The multiplayer is good. I can attest to that anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to play the multiplayer again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't put enough time into that for sure. And speaking of multiplayer, Cube00 says that his game of the year was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
It's another good
one. For the
one.
length of the single player. Yeah, that's a good game. And also for the length of the multiplayer, which I'm not sure how that works, but that's the reason why he liked the game, and I think it was a pretty excellent game, so I can't really see any problems with that.
Did we talk about the multiplayer last time? I don't know if we actually did it on
I don't
air,
think we
but
did.
The multiplayer is pretty excellent. It's like a hide and seek with knives.
Yeah, I think you enjoy that way more than I do.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just because you're the one always getting stabbed. Maybe.
It's true. I enjoyed up to the point somebody sticking a knife in my neck, and then I'm not so much into it.
Oh well, it's pretty unique from anything else out there, so it's worth a look.
That's true. I will concede to that, absolutely.
It's definitely a multiplayer mode that I would like to spend a little more time with in the future before Assassin's Creed kind of disappears into the ether. I don't know how much life
Not if
that game has
Ubisoft
left
has
for me.
anything to say about it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I meant Brotherhood in particular, though. Not sure how much time I'm going to be spending with that game in the future, but if I can get some multiplayer games going on in the next little while, that'd be awesome.
Well, they just put out a second sort of free DLC pack, so they're definitely sort of trying to keep it alive. Yeah, there's a second wave. I think about a week ago it came out.
Yeah, I haven't tried it out yet, but it sounds...
There's a new mode and new maps and stuff, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's definitely something we should check out sometime then.
Sure.
I did not know that. Wow, so I guess you learned stuff from this podcast too, eh?
Informative and educational.
Awesome. We put that as a tagline on the website.
Right.
And then this one came out of left field. The Stranded Brit, he said that Darksiders was his favorite game. Byakuza, being a 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is badass.
I think that actually says because. That might be a typo.
Oh, so it's not Byakuza. My bad. Sorry.
Right. I played Darksiders. I played a lot of Darksiders. I think I did something like 18 hours. And it got to a point where there was a boss that I couldn't beat, and I spent hours and hours trying to beat him, and I never went back to it. So I liked what I did. It was like a very, very shiny HD version of the best Zelda game I've ever played.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it totally had dungeons and different worlds and tons of different stuff to do, and it was a pretty good time. But just could not get past that dude, and it kind of ruined it for me.
And Mark Hamill is in it as Robin. No,
that might actually be a typo as well.
What's up with the typos?
Right. The person that we hired to write our outlines is fired.
I gotta fire myself now.
Right.
Sorry.
Mark Hamill does a voice of the main character's sidekick, and it sounds just like the Joker from the Arkham Asylum game. But it's cool though because it's Mark Hamill.
That's awesome.
I'm not even a Star Wars fan.
Mark Hamill kind of transcends Star Wars. So.
Right. I'm just impressed that he still has a career. That's exciting.
For me, it's always been about him being the Joker because I grew up watching the Batman animated series, but that's a story for another day.
It is. Well, many thanks to our listeners. You are Legion, and we appreciate your feedback. Very exciting.
Yes, we love you.
Cool. So I've been playing a couple of newer releases recently. I know you guys have been, well, at least I know Paul has been tearing into his backlog a bit. Paul, what have you been playing?
Well, only one of these games is officially on the backlog, which is Miles Edgeworth Investigations. It's kind of funny, these two games I've been playing lately, they're both on Nintendo systems, which I completely have ignored for the last year. And of course, there's Animal Crossing Wii, which I recently went back to, which is fun. So if you guys want to share your friend codes with me on Twitter or on the website, go ahead. We can, pass numbers back and forth and maybe get a game going together.
Animal Crossing meetup.
Let's do it. My city's name is Googly.
Googly.
Yes, Googly.
Cool. Miles Edgeworth, I think we both got that at the same time, right around Christmas, right? It was like $10 on Amazon or something.
Yes, that's right.
I've yet to pull the plastic off
This
of that
is
one.
the sequel to Phoenix Wright, where you play as his adversary.
Yes, it's pretty much Phoenix Wright, except instead of being in the courtroom, you're wandering around crime scenes. So if you played Phoenix Wright, you know how to play this game.
So it's just the investigation portions of because Phoenix Wright, you're in the courtroom making a defense, and then occasionally you go out and do your CSI thing.
Yep, that's pretty much what it is. Except Miles Edgeworth, he uses the power of logic to defeat his enemies, so it's pretty awesome seeing someone use his brain.
So in this one, do you ever take all your evidence you find and you go back into the courtroom with it?
I've completed about 3 of 5 chapters, and I haven't gone into a courtroom once, so I'm assuming that you don't at all.
Oh.
You're just like super sleuth detective man using the
kinda
power of logic.
Cool, but it's not what I would like in a Phoenix Wright game. But I guess it's not a Phoenix Wright game, so
it's a Miles Edgeworth game.
It's better.
Oh.
I enjoy those moments of me playing the DS, the laundromat, going, "Objection!" into my DS.
You actually yell at it? Nice.
Can't, goddamn right.
You actually can yell in this game, except it's Eureka!
I thought you were going to say you can yell at it, it just doesn't do anything.
Right, exactly.
You can also take that, which is fun too. But Eureka, man, that's what you yell in this one. Because you use the power of logic.
I have found it.
Good times.
Yeah, that's about all I've been playing lately, though. Woo!
Woo! Do you want to go, or?
Yeah, so I've... this is kind of random. I've been playing this game. You may have heard of it, Modern Warfare 2. For some reason, I guess it's because I played the latest Call of Duty Black Ops a few weeks ago, and I was playing on the PC, and for some reason the multiplayer just wasn't really clicking for me as much as it did with Modern Warfare. So I went back to Modern Warfare, and it's still pretty fun. I like that game. I don't know what it is.
It's got guns.
I don't either. You figure it out. You let me know though.
Okay.
I like the campaign in both of those Modern Warfare games. But just something with the online just does not resonate with me at all. Maybe it's because I suck at it. I'm sure that's part of it. But,
I'm not incredibly adept at it either, so I don't know what it is. There's this one thing, you once you kill enough guys in a row, you get the care package, and it drops this random present for you, which is either a sentry gun or a bombing run or an armed helicopter that shoots the other team for you. So it's always kind of exciting when you get one of those and something crazy pops out and it kills people for you.
I'm sure you can imagine I never got to that point.
Oh. Sorry.
And I've never played the game, so no comment, positive or negative. But I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's kind of bizarre, but yeah.
No, that's great. I think a lot of other people enjoy it too.
Are you playing online?
I'm playing online, yeah. And
holding your own?
I'm actually doing pretty well, which makes me suspect that maybe all the pros have moved on to Black Ops.
Moved on to Black Ops, yeah.
But, I'm not going to complain. Fine with me.
Right. This might be the chance for me to get into it again.
It could be, yeah. Get your own care package.
Cool. Right, exactly. Cool. There's two actually sort of relatively recent ones that I've been playing. We were speaking of Phoenix Wright, Miles Edgeworth earlier. I've been playing the new DS game from the creator of those games.
Oh, really?
Ghost Trick.
Never heard of it.
It's a new DS game. It is, I don't know the dude's name. DJ, do you know the guy's name? You're good.
No.
You're better with Japanese names. No?
All I know is this, it stars a guy with a spiky haircut and sunglasses.
It does, yes. Which is, I think, is a convenient throwback to those Miles Edgeworth and Phoenix Wright games.
So that's the default Japanese protagonist.
Yeah, every character in the game is like super eccentric. And which is sort of common to these games too. But no, I mean you begin the game as a dead guy. You sort of wake up wake up dead. Your body's been dumped in a junkyard, and you are the voice inside your head, and you're trying to sort of figure out by possessing sort of everyday objects and scaring people and hopping from person to person who killed you. You have 24 hours before you sort of pass on to the next plane. They don't necessarily spell it out for you. I guess it's pretty agnostic in its religious beliefs, but it's so you can sort of hop from object to object and sort of move things and scare people and sort of save lives and things like that, and put together the pieces as to who killed you in 24 hours. And it's cool. It's a lot of fun. It's fairly fast-paced. It tends to be a little wordy, but I just keep hitting that A button and it keeps moving on.
Awesome.
But it's cool because you sort of get these you get sort of scenarios. You get a junkyard, you get a police headquarters, and you hop from like a coffee mug to a telephone to this item, to sort of like read files and sort of surprise people and sneak around and try to collect info to figure out who killed you. It's a good time. It's fun. It's very sort of lightweight, but I'm enjoying it.
Man, I've never even heard of it before. Sounds pretty interesting.
Kind of a stealth release, yeah. They sort of jammed it out there in January 8th or something. It came out, which is not necessarily a great place to release a game, but it's a good time. I'm liking it. And the other one I've been deeply absorbed in is Little Big Planet 2.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you guys play Little Big Planet 1?
Yes,
I did, yeah.
Very much. I found it to be one of the most charming games I have ever played.
The charm is back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's better in every way. I think sort of everything I admired about Little Big Planet 2, which, for somebody who doesn't know what Little Big Planet 2 or Little Big Planet is, what is it? Basically, you're a sack boy. You're sort of a blank sort of canvas of a character, and you can apply different costumes and stickers like that. And it's essentially, at its heart, it's a platformer. The game comes with a bunch of levels packed in, and you sort of spend the entire game running to the right, jumping over obstacles, trying to get to the end, collecting goodies on the way. Little Big Planet 2 is more of that, but it seems like sort of every level now in the packed-in levels, they give you something different to do. At one point, you're sort of riding around on these giant bumblebees, and it turns into sort of a side shooter. And then the screen spins, and it becomes Space Invaders. And at another point, you're riding on a hamster, and the hamster burrows underneath the environment and stuff like that.
So it's like 10 games in one.
There's like 100 games in one because you get a grappling hook, you get bounce pads, you get all kinds of crazy stuff to do. It's a crazy good time. It's insane. And there's tons of little pickups and stuff like that, so it encourages replayability to go back and score 100% and blah, blah, blah. But sort of the heart of, I think, Little Big Planet, the big appeal is that in addition to the levels that are on the disc, there's this giant community of levels you can download and play that people sort of have created with the tools on the disc.
Yeah, and there were some amazing levels in the first game, too.
It's crazy good. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. It was funny because I popped in Little Big Planet 2, and it was like, you want to carry over all your stuff from LBP 1? And I was like, sure, why not? And it sort of gave me a chance to sort of go back and appreciate all those games, those levels that I hadn't played. There was somebody from Cheap Ass Gamer that had made a Dead Space level with the first one, and it's fantastic. It's so freaking good. And I'm like, this is why I will never attempt to create a level, because it will never be as good as this.
Yeah, the bar's been set so high.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
So the new big feature on this one is that while the first one was mostly a platformer, and there were some people who had figured out how to sort of hack it into different game genres, like a side-scrolling shooter and all that, it's sort of built in this time, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Awesome. The ability to do other genres, that is.
Yes, the tools are there to build linked levels so that you can actually create sort of multi-levels that are combined together that create sort of an overall plot. So instead of doing sort of an individual level that sort of stands on its own, at the end, you can sort of push triangle and it will link you to the next chapter of your story.
Oh, cool.
So it allows you to sort of create bigger stories without sort of using up all the resources on one level. You can play a lot with perspective and stuff like that. You can play a lot with tools that you have and that your little characters have access to. You can spin the camera in different ways. So like I said, there was that one level that sort of turned into Space Invaders. But you can also sort of create like driving games, like top-down driving games. You can create, there's one little level that you unlock, you get like a little sort of hockey puck that your Sackboy sort of rides around on, and you have to bump into other guys and sort of blast them into electrical fences, and they pop. Yeah, I mean, on the disc with the levels that it comes with, you sort of barely get the impression that, oh my God, there's going to be like 6 weeks from now, there's going to be tons of cool community things that people are doing. But
I've heard that somebody's actually trying to recreate Final Fantasy VII in Little Big Planet 2.
Of course.
Oh.
That sounds like quite an undertaking, unless, of course, the tool set has been improved, because that was something that kind of held me back from creating levels in the first one. It was rough. Like, I have no artistic ability at all, so I couldn't create anything. I was just fumbling around, so I gave up. And I just enjoy levels that people made.
Yeah, I couldn't really get into the creation in the first one just because it felt like you'd have to spend an entire weekend learning the tools. And I was like, I don't know if I am that committed to doing this.
50 tutorials. And
Nice.
I mean, some of them are as long as 3 minutes, you know what I mean? And some of them are 30 seconds. But
Do you know if the game supports keyboard and mouse?
I don't. I'm not sure.
I'm guessing it doesn't. It might have you might be able to use the Move. PlayStation Move.
It is Move compatible. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay, cool.
I know it's Move compatible for gameplay, but I imagine it's probably viable for the tools as well. But yeah, Little Big Planet 2, sort of infinite possibilities, tons of fun. I played through everything on the disc, and that took a little over 10 hours. I've been going back every now and then with a couple of folks from CAG, trying to pick up all the little orbs and stickers and goodies that I've missed the first round, trying to get 100% on everything. And it's crazy. You can get up to 4 people playing simultaneously through the levels. It makes it really chaotic when all 4 of you are trying to jump over the same fire pit at the same time. It's great, though. It's a good time. I've truly enjoyed it. And I just find the whole world endearing. I find Stephen Fry, a great British sort of comic and actor, does all the little voiceovers, and it has just a great sense of sort of mirth and joy. And it's super cute. And I'm surprised that I like it. It's a good time. I did a Little Big Planet. I definitely recommend it, and certainly if you guys get it, we will play.
Cool.
It's a game I definitely want to try sometime, but I was kind of burned on the first one.
Burned.
I mean, I found it. Yeah, well, I found it very, very charming, but the floaty gameplay kind of annoyed me, and also the layer switching. At points in some of the levels, you would get kind of like the game would get confused, and you have to switch between layers, and it would just kind of like grind to a halt, and you would have to kind of wedge your Sackboy behind the right kind of pillar.
Oh yeah, I think I ran into a little of that too.
Yeah, it was a little annoying, but
some of that still exists. It's still not the most easy to play in that regard, but once you sort of start to get used to the quirks, the jumping in it is a little bizarre. it never seems to sort of jump in the way that I want it to.
Yeah.
So sometimes I kind of get hung up in stuff. But I mean, once you sort of get a feel for the flow of it, all of it could be resolved with a double jump. I don't know why there's no double jump in the game. Yeah, you're right. I mean, there is that part as far as sort of just the basic gameplay mechanic. It's a little wonky in that regard, and I'm surprised that it's not fixed and better. It seems like sort of the fix for jumping was to put in these bounce pads that you sort of hit and it launches you in the air, which is insanely fun, but it's sort of a Band-Aid at best, you know. But none of that aside, and it certainly did not detract from my enjoyment of the overall package. So.
Oh, I might have to pick it up on the cheap sometime. I know the first game took a long time to drop in price, though, so I'm not going to hold my breath.
Dude, I played that first one pretty obsessively, though. I went through all
yeah?
that stuff. Yeah, well, because I bought it again for the PSP.
Yeah.
And played through the whole thing again. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a Little Big Planet devotee.
I did not know that. Closet Little Big Planet fanatic.
Closet sack boy.
So it seems like the kind of game I'd like to play because I enjoyed the first one. The problem is, like, from the demo and everything I've seen, it seems fairly similar. Like, it's going to be more Little Big Planet. I sort of know what to expect. Plus, there are just too many games coming out, actually, next month. So I need to sort of clear my schedule for all these.
Clear the decks.
Right. Brace yourself.
Yeah. If you find yourself with a free month in the summer during the lulls, by any means, grab a copy and give it a go, because I think you would enjoy it. I know that you appreciate sort of creativity in that regard anyway, so yeah, it's a good time.
Well, why don't we talk about that then? Some of the games we're looking forward to this year.
Definitely.
Because, holy hell, man, 2011 for me, I have no idea how I'm going to find any time to play every single game that I want. I can, right off the top of my head, there's like a bazillion sequels that are coming out that I'm looking forward to, you know, like your Dragon Age 2 in March, Uncharted 3 in November, and then, of course, there's a sequel to this game, Mass Effect 3, that's coming out at the end of the year. I'm looking forward to that a little bit. I mean, I know, DJ, you are not quite as excited about this year as I am, though, are you?
Well, I forget when I came to this realization. It was after, I think, the VGAs, the Video Game Awards, in the fall. And they showed Uncharted 3, and I should have looked this up before, but what else did they show off there? It seemed like everybody came out of that.
Batman?
Batman?
Yeah, I think Batman 2, was the teaser trailer was released at the awards, or teased, or whatever.
Yeah, and they showed Mass Effect 3.
Much stuff, yeah. Yep.
And
that was the announcement, I think, of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah. And afterwards, everybody was sort of like, "Oh my God, there's so much coming out next year," and I was kind of like, whatever. Everybody knew Uncharted and Mass Effect 3 were coming out, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm just plus they're all the way at the end of the year, so we've got some time to sort of build up hype. But
are there any games in particular that you're looking forward to?
There are a few, and like I said, there are a bunch coming out in February. Test Drive Unlimited 2 is...
Yes, and because of you, I am going to be getting that.
It's an open-world racing game, or a driving game, maybe is more appropriate, because you spend a lot of time driving between races. But it's the sequel to one of my favorite racing games this generation. Just because the open-world model is really cool, and it's pretty different compared to anything else out there. Maybe Burnout Paradise comes close, where they sort of just drop you on this island and you're free to drive around, check out the scenery, do some races by cars and all that. It's very, I don't know, just open, kind of good for just chilling out, driving a fancy car.
And I was checking out some promotional videos for the game last week, and there's like some weird Sims type of gameplay in it where you can like buy a house and pimp it out and get like furniture and throw parties.
Yeah,
and stuff,
so
which
that
is
was sort of in the first one. Like you can buy property,
really?
But I'm surprised of how much they sort of developed it this time, because I definitely did not spend a lot of time doing that in the first one. Like the only reason you buy stuff in the first one is so you have garages to store your fleet of cars.
You need someplace to park your cars. Yeah.
Just buy a plot of land and just park them on the grass.
But anyway, yeah, no, if it turns out to be good, I mean, I spent a lot of time doing interior decorating in Animal Crossing, so I might be all for that. Can I get a coffee table shaped like a watermelon, though? That's my question.
Man, you should email the developers and see if they added that.
So is this a racing game in the Burnout Paradise sense of a racing game, or is it more of like a Project Gotham, like one of those sort of hardcore like racing simulator kind of games?
Well, I guess feel-wise, it's a little bit in between. Maybe closer to Project Gotham. It's not quite as loose and arcadey as Burnout. But the idea is you drive around. It's sort of like Burnout, and you get to one location and there's a race available and you can do that. But because it's a massive open world, there are other players online at the same time. Sort of like almost like World of Warcraft in scale. So you see other cars driving on the road, and it could be another player, and you could catch up to them and challenge them to a race or something like that.
So it's a persistent open world that you log into, or do you have your own open world that you can invite people to join?
I think it's a little of both. I think
really?
it automatically drops you into a server or an instance with other people already driving around in it.
That sounds so neat. I've never played anything like that before.
Yeah, it sort of surprised me when I heard they were doing it with the first one. I was like, oh, that's cool. Check it out.
Mm-hmm. And they take place in Hawaii or something? Like it's an exact replica of
it's not,
certain islands?
It's not like a one-to-one thing, but they've got sort of the same like metropolitan areas and same highways and stuff like that. And I think this one also takes place in Spain, and then you can go back to Hawaii at some point. So there's already you can tell there's going to be a ton of content.
That sounds pretty cool to me. If you just the idea of a persistent open world where you can drive around and have like almost like a virtual car-loving lifestyle sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
so I'm definitely
because you've got
and
like
this was not.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say this was not on my radar at all until you started talking about it a few weeks ago. So like, you know what, I'm gonna take a flyer on it because it just sounds really cool.
Cool, yeah, because you've got like your massively online fantasy RPGs and maybe first-person shooters to some degree, but it's fairly new ground for racing games, so should be good.
I'll have to dig some more. Racing games are a tough sell for me because I sort of tend to like them like really over the top. I like a racing game where a lot of shit blows up.
Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot of explosions in this one.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably not. The explosion to race ratio is probably pretty low. So I don't know if it's necessarily up my alley, but I'll definitely look into it more. You've been selling it real hard, so I'll have to check it out.
I was going to say, like, oh, would you like Split Second? Oh, wait, that has stuff exploding in it.
It has crazy amounts of things blowing up, yes.
So that's the make or break point for you, Randy? No explosions, not interested?
In a racing game,
yeah.
I think that's generally the way for me to go,
okay.
yeah. Yes. Yeah, because I tend to like, crazy game, like Pure, which is sort of like a ATV racing game where you do these ridiculous jumps over like waterfalls, like 400 feet in the air, and you spin and do tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want in a racing game. And this does not sound like that kind of a racing game.
Yeah, it's a little more grounded than Pure or definitely Split Second, but
right.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's like I said in a previous podcast, 2010 was a year that I learned to admire, at the very least, an RPG. So if I've learned anything, is that maybe I should try to immerse myself in things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with sometimes.
Try
it! Do it. All the kids will think you're cool.
Be cool, join us!
Right. One of us.
Well, if you get that, then maybe I'll get Little Big Planet too.
Oh, are we negotiating? Is that what this is?
Let's make a deal.
All right. Cool. So what else are you looking forward to there, DJ? Is that it? That's your list?
That is all. Just one game this year.
That's why he's so sad.
Now, well, what I'm sort of hoping for is they haven't even announced these yet. But so in December, Monster Hunter Portable 3 came out in Japan, and I'm a huge fan. So I'm hoping that it'll come out. They'll bring it over to the States sometime this year. I'm thinking summer would be good. So yeah, let's do that. Summer 2011, Monster Hunter Portable 3.
You heard it first, folks, on VG Hangover, Episode 2.
Right.
Monster Hunter coming out this summer.
That's good. I'm looking forward
to it. PSP game?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's sort of an evolution of the Wii version of Monster Hunter 3 that came out last year. But, I've already put hundreds of hours into Monster Hunter Portable 2.
Well, what's the difference between the Wii version and the PSP version?
The Wii version
is on the Wii, and the other one is on the PSP.
It's sort of an interesting question. I think the Wii version has a bunch of underwater areas, which did not make it into the PSP version. And then the PSP one is a completely different village than the Wii version, if I'm not mistaken. But it has a lot of not all the same monsters, but a few returning monsters, some new monsters. I haven't played the Wii version, so I'm not an expert on differences on that.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought maybe you knew.
I was kind of like, oh, how are they different? No. It sounds like from a lot of the people who have played who have gotten their hands on the import version, they say it sounds like Monster Hunter 3 for the Wii was sort of like an in-between between the last PSP game and this one. This is like the next Monster Hunter full version. So sounds like it should be pretty good.
If it does come out this year, I will definitely get a copy because the co-op...
Oh, it is coming out this year. Didn't you just hear me say that?
Sorry.
we just announced that. Pay attention.
I fell asleep. My mistake. But the multiplayer really makes this game, and I will definitely get a copy when it comes out this summer.
Excellent. Yes.
I will put the pre-order in in 10 minutes.
You can do that now on Amazon. Amazon is taking pre-orders as of whenever the show comes out.
All right, I'll.
I can neither confirm nor deny my involvement in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
To get back to me.
So I want to say, Randy, I think you'll hate this game, but I've said that before, and I've been
right. How many times has that worked for you?
I don't know. I got a feeling about this one though. You probably actually will hate it.
Everything I see about the other Monster Hunter games leads me to believe that I will hate this, but
you've never been wrong, Randy. So
no, never. We're going to go with my instincts.
Like you were saying, 2011, time to try new things. But anyway,
I don't know how much I want to push that envelope.
All right,
just keep it gaming related. You should be okay.
Right, exactly.
Okay, you don't need to go into that.
This tastes funny.
Why not? Let's get into it.
Now, moving on. Anything else? What's one of the other sort of speculative games you have in mind for this year? What else would you like to announce now that will be out this year?
So while I'm on a roll, I guess I might as well. There were a few weeks ago, I think the Namco producer behind the Soul Calibur series mentioned that Soul Calibur 5 is in development. So yes, that's coming out this fall on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360.
Excellent.
Can't wait for that one.
When can we put our pre-orders in, DJ?
Right now.
Oh, I'm going to do it right now.
We'll post a link at vghangover.com.
Yeah, exactly. Soul Calibur hasn't been... there's been a huge resurgence in fighting games with Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom and all that. And Soul Calibur has traditionally not been one of those series to get the same sort of respect from the hardcore fighting game crowd, but it's always been one of my favorites. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one.
And it's coming out, when did you say, September?
I'm going to say September 14th.
Is that even a Tuesday? What are you doing?
I don't know. It's a Wednesday. Oh, I was a little off. So anyway, that's really weird that they're releasing it on a Wednesday, but that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm. So
awesome.
Are there rumblings that this exists, or are you hoping?
Oh, they said they're working on it. They just
really?
There's been no press release or anything until now. But anyway, that's enough about my imaginary games.
Until now. Until just a second ago.
Well, how about I tell you what I'm excited for? Because there's a few games I'm very excited for. First game I want to talk about, and I'm kind of going to skip these games that are going to get a lot of hype, so no Dragon Age, Uncharted, talking about that, because those games are going to sell 5 billion copies without me pimping them. But I think the number one game I'm looking forward to this year is Journey, and please don't ask me what it's about, because I don't know. It's kind of like an abstract game that explores... I don't know what the hell it explores.
I think
Why
you
am I
play
so excited?
as Steve Perry, lead singer of
I knew there was a joke in there. I was reaching for it.
Steve Perry.
Glad you found it.
But it's the same guys who made Flower and Flow. So if you've ever played any of those games, you know they're kind of like abstract games where you just kind of sit back and experience whatever.
They're kind of on the high art side of the spectrum.
Yes, that's right. This is the snob in me saying I'm excited to play Journey because it's artistic and better than you. But I don't know. I just like the idea of seeing what that game company, that's the name of the company, that game company, I'm very excited in seeing what they have up their sleeve for this game because I think the basic concept is you're plopped down in this desolate area like a desert or some sort of ancient ruins, and you just have to explore and kind of like see what happens as you play.
You have to sort of take pictures of Pokemon, right? Or am I confusing this with
That's
something
that
else?
other game.
Oh, okay.
That's Journey Snap.
But I think it's an I hate you guys.
I've heard very little about this game. I think I've heard more from you in the last 30 seconds than I had up to this point. I do recall sort of seeing screenshots and something like that, but yeah, I enjoyed Flower. Flower was a good time. I played that. I think I would be interested in seeing what they produce next. They're certainly not trying to create sort of run-of-the-mill gaming experiences, which I totally respect and appreciate. Yeah, no, I agree.
I think, we need to support more developers that are trying new things with the gaming medium, and it seems like that's what that game company is trying to do. They're trying to...
Which game company?
I hate to use... that one.
Oh, okay.
Who's on first?
That one. But, you know the one. That one. That game company.
Yeah.
I think the jokes did. Anyway,
Which game company?
I just like the idea of what they're trying to do, create sort of like an emotional experience with the games instead of, going through level to level and have explicit objectives that you need to complete. So I'm looking forward to something like this. It's still more abstract in its gameplay, for sure.
Well, there's a fine line, though, because I need some degree of direction in gaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think if... there was that game for the PS3, Africa, where it was sort of you ride around in a jeep and look at animals, and I just don't think there's enough of a game there for me to be interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think something like this, hopefully, as time and tide come, there will be more direction to it. But right now, I think it's just a little too nebulous for me to say I'm excited.
Well, it's interesting that you say it's you're interested in these abstract kind of games because from what I've seen, it actually seems like it's a little less abstract than their previous fare, because it looks like you're controlling a little dude wandering around in the desert.
Oh, okay,
right.
Cool.
So,
I don't think I knew that.
In that case, it might have more of an objective. Like, you have to explore these ruins and kind of figure out what has happened. There haven't been a whole lot of details released for the game. I just think it looks incredible, and the idea of just being sort of thrown into this world without really knowing what's going on and kind of figuring it out for yourself as you go along. I like that kind of emergent gameplay, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those kind of games, so I'm not planning on really following it leading up to its release, so I kind of go into it blind.
And that can be a good thing, too.
Oh, definitely.
Some good surprises. But another game I'm really looking forward to. And
before you move on, if I may, Open Arms by Journey was was my junior prom theme song. That's how old I am. So, yep, I'll link the video of that in the show notes.
Thank you.
So for those of you keeping note, that means Randy is 53.
53, yes, I am. Yep, 687 years old.
Oh my God.
Martha Washington was my prom date.
Did she put out?
Well, that's between me and Mrs. Washington.
Okay, let's not go there then. That's a yes.
Moving on.
But I'm also looking forward to another... I don't know if this game is coming out at the end of the year. It's been announced that it's coming out late 2011, but there hasn't been a concrete date set, and it's The Last Guardian, which is supposedly the end trilogy game to the Ico and Shadow Colossus quote-unquote trilogy. The games that everyone loves, but not very many people have played.
Right.
The games that are held up in such high esteem, and yet 5 people have played them. And I don't include myself among those 5 people, which is one of my great shames. But I will be getting the HD re-releases later this year, for sure.
Oh, that's another one I'm looking forward to. Can't wait for that.
I've played Shadow of the Colossus. I've never played Eco, so I'm looking forward to tearing into that. And
now, is it Ico or Eco? Because I always call it Ico.
I'm not sure.
I think it's Eco.
Fuck me. Okay.
It's definitely not ICO.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, just laying that down.
So Last Guardian is sort of a third in this series of unusual games?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's the same developers. I think okay, hold on. Let me just look this up real quick.
Fumito Ueda.
So, yeah, and the game is about a boy and his animal pet friend guardian type thing. Almost, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of what's it called, The Neverending Story. Kind of like that, with like the kind of dragon, the Draco. I think that was the name of the dragon.
Falcor?
Falcor, yeah, Draco.
Atreyu?
Betray you. Okay, anyway. Yes, that's right. Falcon Never-Ending Story.
They should make an Never-Ending Story video game. That would be amazing.
It could work, but people would know what happens.
Yeah, we know how that ends.
Yeah. Maybe it could be based on, and then they could have everybody die at the end.
It's a Never-Ending Story
twist
2.
ending. But anyway, it seems like the game is basically about a boy and his giant feathered friend that he saves from captivity and torture, and they form a bond throughout the game. Again, kind of short on details, sorry people, but kind of has me excited
they've
to know
been
that.
Super vague about this one.
Yeah. And it hasn't even been announced for a concrete date for the end of the year. I'm expecting that they'll hopefully give a date at TGS this year later on. I'm not sure. But just knowing that it's the same creators of Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. It's not getting a whole lot of press yet, but I think it'll ramp up as the year goes on for sure.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I think there are definitely sort of devotees who are waiting quite excitedly for this to happen. So it will not go unsung, I'm sure.
And the fact that they were releasing the prequels, I guess, is also a good thing. Maybe
Right.
get some more people interested before this hits.
I'm so glad that actually sort of materialized, because that was just a rumor for the longest time that they were going to redo these.
And I think the number one game I'm looking forward to well, I guess it is sequel. God damn it. Anyway, it's a Red Faction Armageddon. Yes. Hopefully it has, I think the subtitle is Red Faction Armageddon, subtitled again, Horde Mode only, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's official yet, but this is the game that brought us together, or the sequel to the game that brought this crew together, eh?
This is true.
Yeah. And I hope it has hammers. Actually, that was confirmed.
Yep, hammers are confirmed.
Yes. Well, that's enough to sell me. You got buildings you can destroy and hammers.
We can neither confirm or deny the sledgehammer.
Right.
The existence of hammers, yes.
Yeah. No, but for those of you who haven't played this game, you should check out Red Faction Guerrilla. I'm not sure how much Red Faction Armageddon is going to be tied into the Red Faction Guerrilla besides the storyline. I mean, it's got hammers, it's got destructible environments, but I think the gameplay looks to be moving in a slightly different direction. But they really, developers, who is it, Volition?
Yep.
Yeah, they haven't really released a whole ton of information on the multiplayer, which is what I've been looking forward to the most. So
Yeah, they've been super secretive about that.
Why? I wonder.
I don't know. Well, because they know we're looking forward to it. They know we want it.
Because the multiplayer in Guerrilla was incredible.
I think it's one of those games where they're just focused on the campaign. Like if you think about other games where they had crazy multiplayer, like Uncharted and Red Dead, they didn't talk a whole lot about that before release. Or did they? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they did. I could just be making this up.
All right. Well, this I mean, just for point of comparison to sort of support your observation is Dead Space 2. By the time this is consumable by folks, Dead Space 2 will be out, and that has for the first time in that series online multiplayer. And it just occurred to me about a week ago. I'm like, I don't think I've heard anything about that since they announced that it was going to have it. So, yeah, I mean, certainly something like Dead Space is very sort of tied up in its mythos and its world and characters and stuff like that. So they're putting all their energy into talking about that campaign. I don't know if necessarily Red Faction has that weight in the characters and stuff like that. So,
but it seems like that's what Volition is trying to do with this.
They're trying to create it. Exactly. Yeah.
Like they're having a sci-fi tie-in movie coming out in the next couple of months. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to create like some sort of multimedia empire.
Red Faction versus Mega Shark.
versus Mant.
That'll be safe for the sequel, I think. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on, because this could either be very, very good, that they're going to try to push for some strong narrative and then just throw in this really fleshed out multiplayer, or maybe they're just focusing on the single-player campaign and the multiplayer is going to be a throwaway. And I hope that's not the case.
I hope it's not the case, but I think the campaign itself does look like fun. Over the last week and a half or so, there's been new footage and a couple new trailers. And on Xbox last week, there was the OXM report had sort of a behind-the-scenes making of kind of little mini documentary about Red Faction Armageddon. And the more I see of it, the more I go, I'm really looking forward to playing that. I think sort of the campaign is going to be fun. And much like Red Faction Guerrilla, the campaign was fun. The campaign was a good time. But certainly the multiplayer there was definitely something special. I just don't know if that can strike twice. I'm not sure.
I sort of feel like if they just build on the multiplayer they had last time, they've already got a winning formula, so they just add new maps, new weapons,
That's
stuff
it,
like that, and they're good to go. So.
A lot of the commentary I've seen about Red Faction Armageddon, though, is they seem to sort of be very, they being Volition, very excited about sort of discarding a lot of the stuff from the first game. And I know it wasn't necessarily the first game in the series, but sort of in this iteration of it anyways. Somebody made a comment, one of the developers made a comment about how we sort of created these tools and now we get to use them. And I'm like, well, I sort of feel like you used them in the last game. So I think that's kind of a bullshit comment. But we will see. At this point, it's more unanswered questions than there are answered ones, I guess.
See, I'm all for, a series evolving as it goes along. But I would just hate to see something that I thought was damn near perfect be completely thrown out.
Go backwards.
Instead of actually evolving. So I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned, but I also have a lot of faith in Volition based on what they did with the Gorilla. So we'll see. But still very stoked for that movie starring T-1000. So that'll be awesome.
I don't think I realized it was Robert Patrick in that. That's kind of exciting.
He's in it.
Oh.
I think he plays T-2000.
Yeah. Cool. So I think it's my turn. I believe it's my turn.
It's your turn.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. You can tune out now.
Okay. Wake me up when it's over.
So, I think sort of my most anticipated is probably Dead Space 2. But since that comes out tomorrow.
Oh, wait. You mean it came out last week?
It came out already. So by the time people are listening to this, it will be out. I will have played it. I will be sitting comatose on the couch. So I've selected 3 other games that are sort of coming up that I'm just starting to sort of build my anticipation for. First of which, I believe it comes out in April, is Portal 2. It is a sequel, but I think it's a sequel in kind of an odd sense. I think sort of the first sequel was this oddball extra thing that came on, what was that game called? The Orange Pack?
Orange Box?
The Orange Box, right. And it was this sort of quick extra thing that was sort of packed in there that nobody kind of expected, and it became this giant sort of runaway hit. It is the most crazy, infuriating puzzle game, basically, combined with a first-person shooter. It's a crazy good time. And it was a very small piece, though. It was sort of over before you knew it on the first one, and it left me wanting much, much more. And everything I hear about Portal 2 sounds like it's all there. Like, there is an entire single-player campaign that sort of continues the story from the first game. There is an entire separate co-op campaign that is meant...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Awesome.
That is meant to be played with another person, where the two of you are creating portals and helping each other get to the objectives.
Oh, that could sound really chaotic.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just sort of starting to release information now about how Portal 2 for the PS3 is going to be able to interact with Portal 2 on the PC, so much so that the user-created levels that people make for Portal on the PC will be playable by the people on the PS3 and downloadable off of Valve's Steam, which will be able to be installed on the PS3.
So it looks like they're making good on their promise from last year.
What do you mean?
Well, I remember when Valve announced that they were going to be partnering with Sony to have some sort of like Steam platform on the PS3. They promised that there would be some sort of interconnectivity between the PC platform and the PS3. And if they're doing it with their first major release for PS3, who knows what the future holds? That's excellent.
Yeah, it's like totally separate from the actual game, but it's pretty revolutionary that there's going to be cross-platform play. That I don't think that's happened before.
Well, yeah, if you're playing, if I'm playing on Portal 2 on the PS3, I'll be able to play with somebody who's playing it on the PC. We'll be able to chat with each other, which is kind of stellar. I can't even imagine how the technology works to do that.
And the PS3 version, it comes with a free copy of the PC version?
It does, yes.
Oh,
yeah, so if you buy it for the PS3, you get a code to download it onto your computer as well.
This is why Valve is a fan favorite.
Well, there you go. It'll have cloud save, so if you're 3/4 of the way through the game on your PS3, you can finish it on your PC and pick up at the same place that you left off.
Wow.
So it's insanity, and I can imagine sort of the world that this thing is going to open up. I think we've barely begun to sort of scratch the surface of Portal as a phenomena and as a tool, and certainly what Steam on the PS3 is going to be, I think, is going to be some other giant thing in a year. So it's, I'm very excited about Portal 2 coming out. It should be great.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. An original game, actually, not a sequel, is Brink. This was supposed to come out late last year, and I was kind of excited about it then, and it has sort of gone quiet, so I'm not sure what's going on. It's a first-person shooter, and it incorporates sort of parkour kind of movements.
Parkour.
With that stuff from The Office, right? Parkour with sort of a utopia turned dystopia. So I immediately got flashbacks to BioShock, but it's this sort of island called the Ark, which was meant to be sort of a perfect community, which has sort of fallen into chaos. And you play a part of a team that sort of goes into, I think, sort of find out what's going on. Again, I'm shady on details here. But it has classes as an engineer, a hacker, blah, blah, blah. And it looks pretty fantastic. It looks like a lot of other games sort of mixed into one. I think in my notes here I wrote Battlefield Bad Company 2 combined with Mirror's Edge and BioShock.
That's definitely a strange combination.
A strange hybrid. All of those are good games to me. So I think sort of taking elements of those, particularly Mirror's Edge, and the gameplay in that, the verticality, being able to sort of wrap walls and climb over things, and just being able to sort of outmaneuver with speed, I think is exciting to me. So the game looks great. There's a series of short sort of like teaser movies that are done in CGI that you can download off of the PSN store. They're free. And it really sort of whet my appetite to what is coming in the game. So Brink, I'm kind of excited about. I think that is somewhere in the mid-year, so I'm not sure where that's really going to land.
Never even heard of this game before.
Oh, really?
See, that's why I love you guys. Point me in the direction of all this new stuff that I haven't even experienced before.
I'm here to inform.
Awesome. That sounds really interesting.
And another one that just sort of rocketed to the top of my want-to-play list with the release of the brand new trailer today is L.A. Noire, which is Rockstar's next game. Folks behind, I guess if you're an idiot, you don't know this, is behind Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto games. It is they're taking, I guess, sort of that type of game to a 1930s sort of old Hollywood kind of vibe. The folks at Rockstar seem very excited about their sort of motion capture and character capture technology, and sort of creating characters that look sort of true to life and can move and act in ways that are so much closer to reality than anything they've ever done before. For me, I mean, obviously, sort of Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead, those are very cool games and very cool worlds. But to take that kind of a game and put it in that 1930s Hollywood, to me, just sounds super exciting. To put it sort of in the era of the Black Dahlia murders and Prohibition and stuff like that, I'm terribly excited, and I can't wait to sort of get into that.
That setting does sound incredible.
Yeah.
I've always been a sucker for like a good detective story.
Right. And I think
didn't Rockstar develop some sort of new facial recognition or scanning software for the game? Was it them who developed it, or did they contract it out? Or?
Oh, no, I believe it's them. I think it's
wow.
They own it. So yeah, there's a little documentary on the Rockstar site that you can watch of how they're using it and incorporating it into the game to create these very sort of realistic characters. All of that's cool. I mean, it ultimately means we're going to play characters in a game that look like reality, which is kind of exciting. Well,
what I read is that they're implementing it, like that facial recognition software or whatever you want to call it. It's being implemented into the gameplay. Like during the interrogations, you have to look for facial tics or people kind of looking away from you when you're trying to like press harder on trying to get answers out of them or something like that.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure how that's going to work, but it sounds quite intriguing.
I'm pretty skeptical. I mean, we'll see if it ends up being more than like, you can see he's starting to sweat a little bit or something. But I'll wait till I've seen it in action.
Will it be very gamey, or will it be
right? No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
sure. I think the potential for narrative in that kind of a structure with those kinds of tools creates something that, in my brain, anyways, has a lot of appeal. So I hope it's as good as it seems like it will be.
Yeah, if they nail the gameplay down, that would definitely be something that I would be very interested in checking out.
If the main character doesn't take 30 minutes to turn around.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nico. That's true.
Like trips over some stairs.
Right. But so those are the three that are sort of at the top of my list. I think the potential for originality, I think, in those three is pretty high for my money. And certainly there are sequel palooza. I know we all know Uncharted 3 is coming. I'm a big fan of those. Killzone 3 is very soon. I think February 22nd it comes out. I'm excited about Infamous 2. I really like the first Infamous. And it looks like everything they're doing with the second one is appealing. And I may be alone in my admiration of this, but Gears of War 3, man, September. I'm excited.
I may have to check out the second one someday.
Finally catch up to 2007, huh?
Well, I like the first one quite a bit. I mean, There were certain things. I don't want to get into that. Yeah,
no,
Gears 3,
I
awesome.
know. The conversation for another day. But
That's right.
I like the Gears world, and I have fun with both of those first two games. So there's no doubt in my mind that I'll enjoy this third one. But
I'm a big fan of the color gray, so I'm a.
well, have I got a game for you? And then I just put sort of a little note here in my my notes about handheld games. I play a lot of handheld games. I travel a lot, and short of lugging my PS3 around with me, I do a lot of gaming on handheld systems. So obviously the 3DS, we know it exists. We know it's coming. We're going to talk about it. There are rumors that the PSP2 announcement is coming later this week.
I read about that earlier today.
So by the time
some pictures and stuff,
our listeners hear this, PSP2 may be a reality, but
old news.
Right.
Did you hear that? Out in Japan this August, and then in the States December 2nd. Let's say 2nd.
Okay. DJ called it. All right.
$299
been calling it all night.
dollars.
So.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, I don't know if I can. I have room on a credit card for a 3DS and a PSP2 in the same year.
Take out a second mortgage.
Man, I was being generous. We'll just wait till we see how much it really costs.
Mortgage. Right. But
will it have Ridge Racer?
Ridge Racer. Giant enemy crab. We will talk about those, I'm sure, at length when things become concrete. But
we're going to have some more games that we're going to talk about on our show notes on the website as well, because we just don't have time to talk about everything tonight. So look for that as well on the website.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get some more info in there about stuff we're looking forward to and blow it up.
More sequels.
More sequel palooza. Cool. So let's take a little break. We come back. We'll dig into the 3DS, talk about our impressions of that and some of the information that's been disseminated this week. And while we're away, enjoy a brand new installment of Video Game Community Theater.
Video games are art. Here at Video Game Hangover, we respect that art. We welcome you to join us for a little segment we call Video Game Community Theater. In this week's episode, a super soldier is confronted with tactical espionage affection. Will he learn to love? Let us find out.
So tell me, what's your name? Your real name?
Names mean nothing on the battlefield.
How old are you?
Old enough to know what death looks like.
Any family?
No, but I was raised by many people.
Is there anyone you like?
I've never been interested in anyone else's life.
So you were all alone, just like Mantis said.
Other people just complicate my life. I don't like to get involved.
You're a sad, lonely man.
Come on, let's go.
Snake, are you okay? Snake! Snake! Thank you for joining us for this installment of Video Game Community Theater.
And we're back. And now we're going to talk about the Nintendo 3DS. In case you haven't heard of it, the Nintendo 3DS is the sequel to... the sequel.
The sequel.
Is the follow-up to Nintendo's current handheld.
The DS is back and it's pissed.
Yeah.
This time it's personal.
Exactly. They should do that, actually. Get a little narrative behind this whole console thing.
Right. But 3DS sequel harder?
DS harder.
There it is. DS harder.
Okay, no, I lost track of what I was going to say.
I'm sure it wasn't important.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Like the DS, it's got two screens, one of which is a touch screen. But the gimmick this time is one of the screens is in 3D. It'll show you 3D images without the need for those fancy glasses that you got while you were watching Avatar.
Ooh.
I hate those glasses. They give me a headache.
Yeah. Supposedly, well, I guess the jury is still sort of out on whether this glassesless technology gives you a headache or not, but
right.
You will find out.
I'm sure it's coming.
I'll have to go to E3 and test it out.
Yeah. But yeah, there's been a bunch of news coming out in the last few weeks. It finally got release dates for both Japan and the United States. It's out in March, the end of March, in the US for $250.
Woo! Save your rupees.
Yeah. And so I'm just curious, what do you guys think? Are you going to pick one of these up? Are you looking forward to playing some games in 3D, or what do you expect out of this the sequel to the DS?
I am not getting one on launch.
Yeah.
No, and why not?
Price.
You just like to wait it out. Price, okay.
That is
250, yeah.
Yes.
It's a little hard
If
to
it was like
swallow.
150, I would seriously consider it because it's backwards compatible, which is awesome.
That's
I do
right.
need a new DS anyways, which is also awesome.
There's sort of some
So-
appeal there for me because I have a DS Lite, and since then they've come out with the DSi, which has, I guess you can download little mini games off their store, and I'm sort of interested in those, and
Yeah.
this one will be able to play them. So
There's some good stuff there.
Randy, were you thinking about getting one at launch?
I was. I mean, I thought I was. I have one pre-ordered. I pre-ordered it off Amazon. I want it. I think I would like it. I just don't know that there's anything sort of on this launch list that makes me feel like I have to have it on day one.
Mm-hmm.
The big tease for me at E3 was that they were working on a 3DS version of Animal Crossing.
yes,
Yes, I would like that.
And I put a giant ass load of time into Animal Crossing
Yes.
on the DS.
I want Poncho back.
and I had
you just
visions
gotta
of
go
me-
track him down and the Wii version or something. You always
I
wondering
saw
where he
him
is.
in the Wii version in the city, and I almost cried because he was right there, and I talked to him for like 10 minutes
He
straight.
didn't even recognize you.
pretended he didn't know you exactly.
I didn't know.
I used to
Poncho.
love you. Yeah, I mean, there's a list of games here. We'll post it in the show notes for everything that is sort of semi-confirmed for release. But there, it's Nintendogs and cats, which, I mean, I have a real dog and I'm okay with that.
And I have a real cat. I'm okay with that.
And the things that you would sort of expect, like Ridge Racer and Lego Star Wars and Madden NFL. And I mean, none of these I'm going to play. So I think there's a part of me that wants to wait until there are more games shored up. There's other elements of it, too, that are sort of speculative at this point. The most recent information I've read is that sort of the internet browser, which, I mean, obviously I'm not dying to surf the internet on my 3DS anyways.
But what if all your favorite websites were in 3D?
What if? Yeah.
Oh my god, 3D porn?
But
You won't be able to get that on Nintendo console. I'm sorry.
They're gonna Steve Jobs it up, eh?
the 3DSware store is not going to be ready on day one. So they're talking about being able to support this with sort of weekly downloads of new games and new experiences, but that won't be ready from start. And they're also saying you'll be able to sort of download movies, which again isn't necessarily a deal breaker for me because I don't care. I'm not dying to watch Madagascar on my 3DS.
Oh
But-
my god,
right.
Ridge Racer is coming out. I thought you were just kidding
Oh, no.
about Ridge Racer.
It's a real thing in 3D.
It's a system launch. Of course, there's a Ridge Racer.
But none of that stuff's going to be ready on day one. And I'm led to believe that there will be other parts of this that aren't quite ready for prime time when I pull it out of the box on March 27th. So I just don't know if I need to sort of spend $250 to have half of an experience.
It does have a single friend code system, though.
It does. That's kind of exciting. That appeals
That
to
was
me.
such a relief to hear
Yeah.
that. In case you're not familiar with the much
Loathed.
reviled
Blind.
friend codes. So in order to play a Nintendo game online, you and a friend need to exchange these 12-digit numbers with each other, as opposed to just exchanging usernames on the PlayStation or Xbox, which are global for that whole system. That's not on a per game basis. And so Nintendo's finally catching up with 2005 here and using a universal code. It's still numbers, but there's only one. So
Yes!
I think it's exciting, though. I mean, it's cool to me that I will be able to turn on my 3DS and see if you are in Mountain View, California, playing your DS. And it will tell me that you're online and what you're playing. And theoretically, we would be able to communicate with each other and go, hey, do you want to play Asphalt 3D? And you, rightfully so,
Why,
will go,
yes, I
no, of course not.
I would rather play Resident Evil Mercenaries.
I would rather gouge out my eyeballs. But I think that's cool, and I think it takes sort of a console experience and makes it portable, which appeals to me. I think that's fun. I think one of the sort of the frustrating things about playing games with friends on the DS, where it's sort of infrequently supported, is that we have to use Skype to talk and blah blah blah, and theoretically all of these things will be sort of built into the way that the software works. But again, most of that's not necessarily confirmed yet. So
right.
I hope it works like that. I mean, because they've had some news that came out, must have been very recently, because I just heard about it today. They're talking about these things called Street Pass and Spot Pass, which this may just be my interpretation of it, but it sounds like that the DS will have sort of an always-on Wi-Fi tag mode, and I guess that ties into your being able to see who else is online. But one of the really cool features about the original DS is you could put it into sort of the standby, and your game would sort of seek out other DSs in the vicinity, and you would trade information, or your Pokemon would battle or something. I don't know.
Right.
But it was limited.
Like if we use Dragon Quest IX as the example, it would find other people to sort of bring maps and other missions and stuff like that into your game, which was cool. But unfortunately, I mean, two people would have to have the game in tag mode, passing by on the street for it to sort of find each other and do that. And the likelihood of that
you
happening
have to be like 20 feet apart.
Right. And the likelihood of that happening sort of in Wappingers Falls, New York is slim. So unless you're at sort of a PAX or a kind of experience like that where there are going to be a ton of gamers, the likelihood of that working is pretty slim. But it's my understanding, and I don't mean to step on your point here, DJ, but the Street Pass will work for any game that you have previously played, even if you don't necessarily have it in tag mode or Street Pass mode.
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah. So like my 3DS will remember that I played Dragon Quest IX and Nintendogs and Steel Diver and Pro Evolution Soccer 2011
and Asphalt 3D.
Right. Right. And will find other people near me who have a 3DS and trade information and levels and whatever else as well. I think that's cool. It eliminates some of the cumbersome bullshit steps that have kind of ruined that experience in the past, I think.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope behind this.
For a company that just had a giant press release, there's still a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, it's Nintendo, so they
Right.
probably don't even know
I'm
completely
sure.
how it works until it comes out.
I'm sure Reggie's sitting at a desk hammering it out right now.
I'm just wondering how they updated the print money feature for the DS.
It now prints money in 3D.
Right.
Oh.
The money shoots out of it into your eyes.
No glasses
I
required.
mean, if you couldn't tell, I'm very lukewarm on the 3DS right now.
I'm kind of lukewarm just because, I mean, in as far as getting one at launch goes, I'm definitely not. But I am really excited for this because the DS is one of my favorite systems of all time. And I know eventually they're going to have Mario Kart and they're going to have Animal Crossing. I hope it's a new
That's
Animal
when I'll
Crossing,
jump on board. When the price comes down a little bit and there's a lot more games, then I'll seriously consider getting one. But for launch, I don't know. Early adopters, they always seem to get burned.
I didn't get a DS at launch. There wasn't really anything that I felt like I had to play until about a year or so after it had come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it may very well be like that, particularly with new technology and developers trying to figure out sort of how to use it. I think it's going to be a little while before there's anything that's sort of like, oh my god, I have to have that kind of game. But I still like new toys.
Right.
So I don't know. It's pre-ordered. They haven't taken my money yet, so I guess I have a few weeks to decide whether or not I'm going to dive into this thing.
So you didn't pre-order it from GameStop then?
I did not. No, I pre-ordered it from a reputable retailer called Amazon.
One thing I'm a little bit excited but also kind of apprehensive about is the 3D mode. I just wonder, what in the world are developers going to do that's going to like revolutionize gameplay with this? Or is it just going to be a gimmick?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's definitely more on the side of being a gimmick.
Yeah.
Because they've been very sort of outspoken about there's an actual slider on the device and you can turn down the 3D. You can actually turn it all the way off. And they're saying this won't affect your gameplay experience. So what that means is it automatically it means the 3D effects are not necessary I mean, they sort of can't be necessary to the games you're going
Right.
to play on it. So I think it's just kind of a...
I've read that, that Dead or Alive fighting game, it plays in 60 frames per second when you're not playing in 3D mode, and it drops down to 30 when you're playing in 3D mode. So it's like, why would you play it in 3D? Like, what do you gain?
You can see the lovely ladies of Dead or Alive.
Giant jiggly boobs in 3D,
Oh,
exactly.
3D breasts. I should have known.
Yeah, I think there are two games that come sort of prepackaged on the system, and they're both sort of augmented reality games. And the dudes that do the Weekend Confirmed podcast were just talking about both of those games. Because I know the guy that hosts that, Garnet Lee, has played the 3DS and has played both of these games. And one of them sort of uses, there's 3 cameras on it. It uses 2 of them to create sort of 3D photographs. But this piece of software, this game that comes on the system, creates basically like an island where you have to sort of find things, and you actually have to sort of get up and carry your 3DS around, and it sort of superimposes the island into whatever the camera is looking at. So like it's your coffee table in your living room. You'll see this island, and you have to sort of move the DS to look behind trees and look in a cave and stuff like that. And so I think...
Do you have to like leave your house and like drive to the next town? Like, there's something over here.
Right, you have to get on your bike, and but I think
that would be awesome.
Right, but that's an experience. But is that a game? Could you do that for 10.5 hours? Is there a narrative there? I guess I don't know.
That's
obviously.
what I'm worried about.
But dude, just think if you could do that in
in
Animal Crossing. If it was like, oh, I need this one flower or something, but I need to, drive down the street and look for it. That would be something else.
Sure. Well, and that makes 3D necessary. I mean, you can't turn 3D off and still be able to play that game, obviously. So I think people are working on it, and people will get better at it with time. So I think, I tend to be sort of immune to 3D as a gimmick. There's nothing about sort of 3D movies that appeal to me.
Me neither.
So I have no desire to play games in 3D. But I think smart developers creating experiences that can't be done any other way will compel me to play them, even if they're only sort of tiny little slices and they're not great big overall experiences. So,
and that's what I'm hoping for.
Sure.
I'm hoping that some developers do this. It's the same thing with Kinect. Nothing really has me terribly excited for Kinect, but I'm hoping that some developers can do amazing things with that technology, and I fully expect it.
It seems like hackers are.
Yeah,
right. just not anybody actually in the industry.
Right, exactly.
So I remain cautiously optimistic on the 3DS.
Sure. All right. So we've got 2 sort of cautiously optimistic and 1 sort of blindly excited.
I think I'm blindly optimistic.
Blindly cautious.
I mean, I want it to be this amazing system. It finally does online and tagging, and you have a great library of downloadable games. But then, in the back of my mind, I remember Nintendo sort of let the virtual console on the Wii kind of atrophy into just pumping out these garbage WiiWare games every week. And they were talking about using Wii Connect 24 to deliver all this awesome stuff to your Wii overnight, and that never really happened either.
No.
So, I want to be optimistic. I am looking forward to getting one of these at some point. But just come on, Nintendo, don't let me down this time.
Yeah, Nintendo's track record in the online marketplace is a little shoddy, to say the least.
Yep. Well, this is obviously a chance for them to sort of embrace that and create a presence there that they honestly do not have. So maybe, hopefully,
we shall see.
Exactly, it'll happen. There are still great games coming out for the DS. So you know that they're going to continue to develop for the DS and produce games.
Yeah.
Particularly knowing that they can be played on the 3DS as well. I mean, in the last probably 6 months, well, certainly since mid-August last year, I've bought 3 or 4 must-play amazing DS games. So, and this is 6 years into the DS's life.
Yeah,
that's about right.
So, just because there aren't must-play games on day one doesn't mean there won't ever be. So, somebody smart's working out somewhere. I'm certain.
My fingers are crossed.
Cool.
You can't see, but I assure you they are crossed.
The joy of podcasting. Cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about 3DS related?
No, not me
I
personally.
think we about covered it.
All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up then.
Although Combat of Giants Dinosaurs 3D sounds pretty
sweet. Yeah, there's no way that can't be. All All right, so in closing, if you're looking for show notes, occasional musings from Paul, DJ, and I, or want to talk about this week's show, just hit up our website. Our website at vghangover.com. We'll be expanding on our look ahead at gaming in 2011 throughout the week, so check the blog periodically. Don't miss anything fun. Also, you should follow us on Twitter. We're VG Hangover there. DJ Paul and I are on Twitter as well. You can find links to our personal feeds on the website. And we'd be really happy if you could recommend VGH to your friends.
Do it.
Help us get the word out. Share this with people you love. Our intro and outro music this week is by Eric Skiff from his album Resistor Anthems. You can download a free copy of that from his website, glitchnyc.com. It's good stuff.
It's a hell of an album.
Listen to
yes,
it. Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
It's free, and it's legal, and it's awesome. So thank you. Thank you for nursing this video game hangover with us. Thank you for helping us get the word out. Tune in next time.
Tune in next time where you'll... sorry, what are we doing? Tune in next time when... for
I have no idea. What are you doing?
For the first installment of the Gamer Sandwich.
Oh, Gamer Sandwich coming soon.
That's a good sandwich.
Cool. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Right.
The intro and outro music from this week's episode of Video Game Hangover is from Eric Skiff's album Resistor Anthems. You can download a free copy of it on Eric's website, glitchnyc.com/music. If you make awesome video game-inspired music and would like to have it featured in our podcast, get in touch with us at contact@vghangover.com.